Spring and fall migration have long been exciting times of the year for birders. One of the biggest challenges has been predicting when a lot of migrants will arrive. Not only that, but you didn't know how many migrants, what type, and the effects of weather on bird migration, among other things. Thankfully, Birdcast has made migratory bird birding easier than ever, with a variety of tools that help you plan trips, identify birds, and know what to expect in the field. In this video, we will go into how to use Birdcast, understand it to help you find more birds this migration season. Hope you like it. Type in Birdcast, and the website should be the first thing that shows up. Welcome to the Birdcast homepage. First, we're going to scroll down. As you can see, they have recent news. This document right here talks about how to use weather radar to detect bird movements during the migration seasons. So you can read that on your own spare time, but we're not looking at that today. We're going to scroll up, and we're going to look at the live bird migration maps. So what these are, they basically record the movements of the birds throughout the night, and they can be quite interesting just to walk at and see where the birds were migrating the most. So this is for yesterday. You can see that most of the birds are moving in Florida. See, it lights up. The red line represents sunset and the yellow line represents sunrise. Yeah, see, the sunrise is coming and everything calms down. Let's look at a previous date. There we go. So this is from 23 May 2024, so last year, near the peak of migration. We can see everything lights up at sunset. You can see where the arrows are pointing where the birds are moving. You can see how many birds are flying. You can see the date, the time. And then we have sunrise, everything calms down. And that's it. 5 bird migration maps. We have the local bird migration alerts. This tool basically tells you when a lot of birds are going to be flying over your city. I don't use it, but you can. Next, we have the bird migration forecast maps. These maps show you the predicted bird movements 3 days into the future in the continental United States. You have the same migration intensity bird meter as with the bird migration forecast maps, with white representing high and black representing none. The gray blobs are precipitation, which can influence bird migration, and the predicted number of birds is at the bottom. These forecast maps can help you plan birding trips ahead of time, but it's still a good idea to check the migration dashboard before going out. Migration dashboard, type in your state or county. So the first thing that shows up is a live data feed, because right now it's night. We're going to go to a past date. The really cool thing is that you can go to any past date and compare it. So we're going to the peak of migration. As you can see, 6 million birds crossed Kentucky this night, and the peak migration traffic was 11 million. The bigger the difference between the peak migration traffic and birds crossed, the better, because more birds will stick around your state instead of just cross over. Birds on flight is basically how many birds are flying over at any given time. It is updated every 10 minutes. Birds in flight nightly average is how many birds fly over approximately every night. As you can see, there are many troughs and peaks throughout the migration season. It peaks around May to 1st. Flight direction and speed. Flight direction is north, which is to be expected for spring migration. Speed is around 15 miles per hour. Altitude is around 10,000 feet above the ground, although seasonal timing and weather conditions dramatically impact their distributions. Then we have total birds crossed. As you can see, this is the addition of all the birds that fly over each night. As you can see, it increases towards mid-May and then levels off in June. In this particular migration season, which is spring 2024, 350 million birds crossed Kentucky. In the next example, you will see how bird migration is affected by weather conditions. September 11, 2024, after Hurricane Franklin landed in Florida, it impacted much of the southeastern U.S., bringing large storms that also disrupted bird migration. As you can see, birds in flight, we have a dip around 1 a.m., probably because of rain that causes the birds to be pushed out of the sky. Then we have birds in flight nightly average. As you can see, this date is around the lowest dip in the whole year, which means very few birds were migrating around this time because of the storms. Then you can see most of the birds are heading towards the west, like they're going southwest, away from the storm. And then altitude, as you can see, there's a really weird, unusual plateau where the birds go higher than usual to 3,400 feet, probably to avoid bad weather or rain. And then total birds crossed, as you can see, becomes almost a straight line here as few birds fly over. These effects mirrored in the several next nights. In the 12th, you can see that the very few birds flew over. The birds in flight was really low, almost a straight line. The flight direction speed was mostly to the west. The altitude was very jumpy with several above normal altitudes or below normal. Then on the 13th, birds are mostly going to the west again. The 14th. And on the 15th, things finally start to return to normal, and the birds are not going as west anymore. As you can see here. Still are kind of going west, but not as much as they did in the previous days. Time for the most important and useful part of Birdcast. Expected nocturnal migrants. This is powered by eBird, which is basically a website where birders can submit their checklists. Basically, the information from these birders' checklists is compiled into these frequency bar charts that show when migrants are migrating through. Birdcast then shows which migrants you're most likely to see based on frequency of observations. The birds are updated every week, with some being removed and new ones being added, so make sure to check this regularly. You can then click the name of whatever bird you want to learn about. Say, for example, you wanted to learn about bay-breasted warblers. It'll automatically take you to eBird, where you can see photos of their different plumages, learn some ID tips, also listen to their sounds. You can also scroll down and look at the range map, which shows you where the most sightings have been reported, with darker purple representing more sightings. You can also look how many observations you've had, how many of those observations have been with photos, and how many with audio. You can also look at the top photos, top audio, and top videos in the world. Type in your region to view the weekly bar chart. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, share, and like.